I've been using the Boox Tab Ultra C deeply for the last 3 months, and at this point I have some pretty strong opinions on it. How is it as a writing, reading, and typing device? Can it replace your iPad? And is it worth the higher price tag over the existing Tab Ultra? We'll dig into all of those questions, and in the end I'll let you know who I think is a good fit for this device, and whether it's worth upgrading from an existing Note Air, Note Air 2, or Tab Ultra. If you're new around here, my name's Brandon, and on this channel I share practical tips to help you improve your focus and creativity. And if that sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on the videos that I post here every other week. All right, back to the video. Let's start with the physical design, and one of the first things I think you'll notice about the Tab Ultra C is that it's noticeably heftier than its Note Air 2 brethren. But along with that additional heft comes some additional capability. The star of the show is the new 300 pixel per inch screen. Let's unpack what that means a little bit. It's 300 pixels per inch for the grayscale layer, with the color being rendered at 150 pixels per inch. The great news is even if you have a combination of grayscale and color, that grayscale layer is always 300 pixels per inch and clear. When I first heard about the device, I worried that the tablet would have to render at a lower quality if there was any color in the image, and I'm happy to report that that is not the case. One thing you will notice, however, is that the screen is visibly dimmer than your typical grayscale E-Ink device, and that the screen does have a bit of a different look due to the color component. It almost looks like a pixel array on an LED screen if you ever look really up close. In practice, you're able to combat this pretty easily by turning on the backlight of the device, but the trade-off there is battery life. The battery life is great by LED tablet standards, but noticeably shorter than other E-Ink devices I've used, even other Boox devices. In the process of writing the script for this video, I've used about 30% of the battery over a 4-hour period. My other E-Ink devices often go at least a week without charging, but I found that I have to charge the Ultra C at least once a week, if not more. My current theory is that this is due to the color screen, along with having to run the backlight at a brighter level to get to the same level of visible brightness. But that trade-off in battery life gets you additional clarity and a touch of color. And that's a big part of why I found the Tab Ultra C to be a great reading device. The clarity is now on par with my Kindle Oasis, and has significantly more screen real estate for technical PDFs or anything with imagery. That combined with the snappiness of the GPU have led me to a routine of morning reading on the couch with Readwise Reader, and that's something that the Note Air 2 Plus was never quite able to crack. One thing to note is you're getting a touch of color, not rich, eye-popping color, so if you're looking for a rich color comic book experience, the iPad is still the way to go. On to the writing experience. If you've ever used a Remarkable or Boox Note Air 2 Plus, the screen texture isn't nearly as grippy or paper-like as either of those, but in practice, I don't notice the difference nearly as much as I would have thought I would. I do, however, notice that my palm now floats on the edge of the device versus being able to comfortably rest on the table like with the Note Air 2, and that the camera bump causes the device to have a bit of a rock when you shift your weight across it. If you use the Folio, you'll never notice it, but it's probably something that you should be aware of. The Boox writing app is powerful, but I do find it to be a bit distracting compared to the Remarkable. When I use the Tab Ultra C, I miss my easy gestures for undo and redo, proper support for scrolling paper, and not to mention that the highlighter still doesn't overprint. If you're looking at the Boox, it's likely because you want to be able to do something more than just read and write. And I think the Tab Ultra C represents a big upgrade in this department. The addition of color and a snappy GPU mean that I can finally see a world where I use Android apps on an E-Ink device. And I can see a future where some apps are actually optimized for this. Obviously, you're not going to watch YouTube on it, but being able to see color means that you can actually tell what's going on in more apps. But can it replace an iPad? Well, not directly. But if you're trying to reduce your screen time and don't mind a bit more friction in your tablet experience, this device gets the closest yet on E-Ink. The thing I love about the Tab Ultra C is the same thing that I love about my iPad, which is that I'm no longer tethered to my desk and I can explore ideas on the go. I can go to the kitchen table or even go to some places that I wouldn't take my iPad, like the backyard, where the E-Ink screen really shines. Well, doesn't shine, stays clear. And in that situation, the fact that the Kaleido screen is slightly darker than previous screens doesn't matter one bit. Moving on to typing. Can the Tab Ultra C be a modern typewriter or distraction-free typing experience? Yes, I think it can. The new Kaleido screen is plenty clear and responsive for typing, and I have no real concerns about it as a typing device. The Boox Notes app has great typing support and can sync your notes to the cloud in case you ever break or lose your device. They also support common markdown syntax for things like creating headers, which I absolutely love. I just wish I could hide the app's header to have a fully immersive typing experience. With that said, my guess is you can likely find a dedicated app for writing that will better cater to your personal preferences, but the hardware itself is plenty fit for the task. Speaking of hardware, let's chat a bit about the optional keyboard cover. I really like the idea of the keyboard cover, but in practice, I find that it's not my preferred place to write. I spend a lot of time typing at my desk on a standard keyboard, so then going to a smaller non-standard keyboard of the keyboard cover tends to be an impediment of actually creating thoughtful writing. If you could commit to this being your primary typing device, then I believe you could get past this. But unfortunately, it can't be that for me. It's not all bad news here though, because the Tab Ultra C has great support for external keyboards via its USB-C port or Bluetooth. I actually typed the entire script for this video on the Tab Ultra C with a Bluetooth keyboard. Just be sure to turn off Boox's predictive type and show virtual keyboard feature, as it shows you the words that it thinks you're writing, and in practice, I just find that it interrupts my train of thought. It totally makes sense when you're using the on-screen keyboard, but I find it hard to believe anyone would want to use it when typing on the keyboard cover or an external keyboard. With that said, you can't beat the convenience and form factor of the keyboard cover for those who are on the go a lot, but for me personally, I would recommend getting the magnetic case and then pairing that with a Bluetooth keyboard that you actually enjoy typing on. One thing I do feel I need to mention is that my time with the Boox Tab Ultra C has not been a bug-free one. There was a period where my stroke wouldn't render after using the eraser, and that was pretty frustrating. Boox fixed that one, but I still run into issues where the auto rotate doesn't always kick in when it should. I'm confident that Boox will fix this in time, but it does feel like some of these things should have been caught in testing prior to final release. So who should buy it? I'd say if the Remarkable is too opinionated, then I would argue that the Boox isn't opinionated enough. For the most part, all the settings I'm looking for are here, but it's a journey to find them and cobble them together. If that tinkering sounds like fun, then I think you'll love the Boox. If you don't want to tinker at all, I'd say check out the Remarkable. And I think the Supernote just might be that Goldilocks right in the middle that can blend good opinionation and flexibility. In conclusion, if you're looking to buy an e-ink tablet that can do more than just write, the Tab Ultra C elevates that formula to new heights. It's decidedly better than the Tab Ultra and the Note Air 2 Plus that it replaces, and it's worth the price premium over both. But in my opinion, unless you absolutely feel you need access to color, I wouldn't rush out to upgrade if you already own either of those devices. As far as capabilities go, the Tab Ultra C sits somewhere in the in-between space between a Remarkable and an iPad. I recently did a video where I dig into just how different those two devices are and how to figure out which of those is right for you. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in that video.